Hi, Roy here on my channel. Roy reads anything, including, for the month of November, books featuring or about Cleopatra, the Queen of the Nile. So, Cleopatra, a figure in culture of all kinds who's just always seems to be around, whether it's the action transfer kit I had for Christmas in the 1970s, where you got a picture of Cleopatra's barge with little figures you could rub down, which is incredibly difficult to do. Most of mine ended up with like separated limbs floating in space and things like that. But whether it's that or whether it's the recent Nova Twins track of that title, or anything in between, always there. You know, in the days gone by, English children raised on these Ladybird books. It's where we got our information. This one was given to Vicky with love and best wishes from all at Coombs School. And she would have learnt lots and lots about ancient Egypt, including this rather alarming image of Cleopatra reaching for the asp that will end her life, with her two closest associates trying to stop her, which is rather lovely. So Cleopatra, who I was thinking about because last month was Shakestember, a month celebrating works of Shakespeare, and a bunch of us read Antony and Cleopatra by William Shakespeare, which among other things tells us that Cleopatra would play billiards. So it's there.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's there. People say it's a gag, and it does set up some stuff about balls and sticks and pouches and things, and but I don't know, there could be more to it than that. Anyway, yes, a lot of us thought we want more Cleopatra. She gets some pretty good speeches. Maybe she would have had more if the job didn't have to go to like the youngest lad in the theatre troupe to play her in Shakespeare's time. So I thought, why not have a event just for me? Because I'm always doing the reading events on BookTube, which is great, and I love being part of a group looking at something and, the discussions and everything. But I thought just to reassert my own willpower and see if I actually have any, I would devise my own little reading plan, which other people could join in if they want, but I'm not particularly expecting that to happen, but you never know. Hence Cleovember, because I realised I could easily find a bunch of books that I wanted to read about Cleopatra. So that is what I've done. I've got Cleopatra by H. Rider Haggard, so Victorian era writer of usually mystically tinged adventure stories. King Solomon's Mines and She, quite famous. It sort of makes sense that he would write a novel about Cleopatra. And this is rather lovely, got illustrations. Bizarrely, this came from one of those strange vendors where books are either incredibly cheap or ridiculously expensive. So this one from the 1890s cost £2.50. What? But he was a best-selling writer at the time, and Henry Rider Haggard. Yes, his Cleopatra novel was a big deal when it came out, 1891. There's also it was adapted into a Classics Illustrated comic, and other stuff. So there's Cleopatra being an account of the fall and vengeance of Harmachis, the royal Egyptian, as set forth by his own hand. So got a bit of H. Rider Haggard there. Lovely book. Then Queen Cleopatra, Talbot Mundy. Now, this was written in 1929. This obviously paperback reissue. I'm guessing from the Elizabeth Taylor-like picture that this was brought out in the 60s when there was a big Cleopatra movie doing the rounds. It's actually part of Talbot Mundy's Tross series, so it has a long series of adventure stories with a character called Tross. They don't mention that at all. It's all about Cleopatra in the blurb, but that looks fun. It's full of colour and splendid pageantry.
Colour, including that lovely blonde hair that Cleopatra's got there.
That's not hair, it's headdress.
Is it?
Yes, headdress.
Is it golden headdress?
Well, yeah, they had lots of gold. They're all about the gold in ancient Egypt. So both Haggard and Mundy were big influences on Robert E. Howard, the sword and sorcery writer, whose work we've been looking at as well. So that's a nice sort of tie-in. So plan to read those. Then on a couple of things on Kindle, I've got Antony and Cleopatra by Colleen, not that one, Colleen McCullough, who wrote The Thornbirds, which was a huge seller, and I think it was a TV miniseries back in the 80s. Never read that, but it was one of those like omnipresent books, and it looks like she went on to write a big series of Roman historicals. This is actually the 7th in the series, which maybe isn't ideal, although I guess if it's history, the things that have already happened are like the things that most people think happened, so hopefully it'll be possible to jump in. So Colleen McCullough's Antony and Cleopatra. Also, Queen of Kings, this will be my week 4. Queen of Kings by Maria Dahvana Headley, where Cleopatra is a vampire.
Of course she is.
That's how she survives. I knew it. If any of those need DNFing or really quick reads, my backup read is an Anne Rice novel. Only ever read Interview with the Vampire. So Ramses the Damned, The Passion of Cleopatra has Cleopatra in it as well. So may or may not get to that. But that's not all. I've identified at least 30 comics which either feature Cleopatra possibly as a little cameo or a major part of the story. So some of those I've got in physical, some I've got online, but the plan is to read all of those, and they date from, well, I've actually found some Victorian material, but mostly Golden Age and Silver Age American comic books is what I'll be looking at. And because she's real, ironically, because she's real means she can appear in all the different universes and series and so on of comicdom. So my task will be to try and put all of those appearances into some kind of coherent sequence, so it could all have actually happened. So yes, looking forward to the comic book versions as well. And watch some movies, and there is music, doing a playlist. So that's my plan for November. All about the Cleopatra. Doesn't matter what other booktube events come along, this one's going to take precedence. So should you want to join in, it's just about read any book or story featuring Cleopatra or a strongly Cleopatra-ish figure. Could be non-fiction stuff as well. I mean, I suppose the whole fascination with her is part of the much wider thing of Egyptomania, sort of fueled by archaeology, you know, and anything from mummy films to massive queues at museums to see Tutankhamun's golden head. Cocktails?
Was that when they made the cocktails with mummy ground up in them?
Yes.
And mummy brown paint, which actually had mummy in it.
That is true.
Yeah.
Mummies, because there were so many of them, they could be used as a sort of material for things like distilling the liquid that came out of the bodies and using it in, as Dr. Jenny says, to make paint, to sort of brown paint, to make drinks. And there were mummy unwrapping parties sometimes in sort of as a theatrical entertainment, or could be arranged in the privacy of your own home, where some poor old mummy would be unwrapped as a sort of spectacle. The hope being you would find jewels and some sort of princess or whatever within, which probably didn't happen very much.
If at all.
Yeah, but, anything's possible. No, we won't literally be going that far, but...
Dang.
Yeah, well, get some bandages. You could stand in for Nefertiti or whatever.
No, dear. Definitely not, no.
That could be your visual debut on the channel.
No.
We do have a friend who did go wrapped in bandages to a fancy dress party at university once, so perhaps I could get him to repeat the exercise. Okay, enough of this. So Cleovember, you heard it here first, and see you back soon with something else.